Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be having a new league match. Welcome in, everybody.
I am Willow, and I'm here with
Lynette, and today we're going to have Point Park playing, I believe it is Virginia Wesleyan.
Wesleyan, I believe. We've played them before. I don't think in League. It might have been Rocket League.
I believe we played West Virginia Wesleyan in League already this season, though.
Oh, I wonder if they're as good as their West Virginia halves. Are they the better half? That's the question.
But yeah, we're going to be having a matchup, and both teams are towards the end, bottom part of the standings with 1-3 for Point Park versus 0-4 Virginia. But should be an interesting matchup. Teams do appear to be pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, it could really go either way. Our lineups today are going to be Highway, Gideon, Godnuts, Spooky, I'm Tracer from Over, and Kaquid. And for the subs, we have Ribeiro, Pimpabirdie, and
Me and Chanum Echo. Now, I believe everybody except me is going to be playing as I'm casting tonight, but we should have everybody playing except possibly Kakid, although he is here with us. We do see most of the team meeting before the match, as they're going to be looking to get into it in a pretty shortly. But yeah, Point Park did lose their match last week, ended 0-2, was a rough match. We didn't end up streaming it as we were on our spring break, but just for some recap, it was pretty even throughout the early game in both of them. Just bit of struggles throughout the mid and late game led to not quite able to pull out a win despite being pretty evenly matched. But yeah, today we've got another, what looks like it should be an even match. The team all here now getting ready for this one.
how exciting. And we're nearing kind of the end of the season. So the team is going to have to pull out a few more wins if they want to make it to finals. But who knows? Maybe they will make it. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I have faith in them. They've been getting steadily better over the course of the season, and I'm really excited to see if they can make something happen.
Yeah, we've really been seeing Coach just hammer that into them, hammer all these new ideas and plans into them, and every game it seems like they're getting a little bit better.
Yeah, now they have had a rough season, but it felt like every game has been winnable, which is something we can't really say for their last seasons. They've been getting so much better recently, and if they can just keep that up, I have so much faith that in the future they're going to be incredible. But already they're getting better, and I'm so excited for this match today. Here we see Coach talking to the team, just getting ready for this one.
This is going to be pretty exciting. We are not quite into the game. Honestly, I feel like if the team can switch up their strategy a bit tonight, they may have a chance at just pinching that win. I really hope so.
The issue that they have been running into in all of their past games, this is something we've talked about with the team, is they always seem to struggle in that mid-game, as they just aren't entirely sure what to do. But I know they've been working on that, because they know that's their biggest weakness. And if they can iron that out, that's just going to help them convert so many more games. Now, before we do get into this, I do just want to read over the team for Virginia. They have Yeehaw Sauce, Fun13 Daro of Lycos, CPT Sindada, and Wide Boy, with subs Drasme and Heaven Refining. And yeah, we obviously don't have all the information on what they play on hand, but I know the team is going to. I'm really excited to see what they elect to do here.
Yeah, that is really what we are thinking. While we're waiting, we might as well just read off some of the stats for our team.
Highway with obviously, being the ADC, they're one of the ones expected to get kills. They've currently been sitting at 38 kills, not 13. I am a little bit dyslexic. And 55 assists this season. They are currently the Point Park record holder for kills, but I know there's potential for that to be contested in these games, as a handful of the older players, Lucas Kakid and Lucas Ribeiro and Highway, are fairly close. Then you have Kakid, who's currently at 17 assists in 17 kills in 52 assists, and with the number of games he's played, that's insane to have that many assists.
Absolutely insane. It looks like he is a record holder for damage. There are a lot of records being held, being broken this season. That is pretty exciting. Just yesterday, we had a record we had a record broken.
No, wasn't it? Oh, yeah.
It was broken,
all-time goals in a Rocket League match broken.
Yeah.
And then, in a series,
yeah, and
the match was tied.
Yeah, almost we had a second record broken, but not quite.
And both by the new player, Francisco, for Rocket League. Absolutely dominant in this season. But yeah, back to League. Kakid, the number of assists is insane, but it makes so much sense when you see what he's been playing. He's been going these super tanky, CC-heavy junglers who don't get kills themselves, but they're so good at facilitating it for their team. But I believe it is going to be Ribeiro jungling today, who typically plays more brawl-heavy characters, such as Wukong, Jarvan, Diana, who still do have that CC, but not to the same extent as Kai's picks, like that Maokai.
Oh, yeah. So it really is a question of how these stats may be changing as we continue on towards this game. As for the rest of our players, they have pretty great stats. Didn't quite get the time to read them off, but
I do believe we have Spooky Hand Soap, who's in support, one of the all-time leaders, if not the leader for assists. We have Gideon Godnuts, who, although played ADC last semester, is playing mid lane exclusively this one, swapping out every few games with the new player, Gavin Pimpabody. Both of them are pretty strong in the mid lane, although they both have very different styles. And then you've got Ribeiro, who we already touched on, the OG jungler for the team, who, one of the, three I'd consider the old players. And they weren't here for the start of the season, but they've gotten back into the swing of it pretty well. And then, obviously, we've got to talk about LeBron, Tracer from Overwatch. One of the most dominant players on the Point Park team, almost always just bodies his lane opponent.
yeah, we see a lot of Tracer versus his opponent games just again and again. It seems like pretty much every game, it's just him and his opponent 1v1ing. And I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but
he's typically always ahead. The issue is that the rest of the team can't always convert that into leads. But LeBron, just one of the most consistent players we have. We see him here. He typically plays very tanky top laners, despite being able to play almost anything. We see him on a lot of Ornn, as much as he hates the pick, but we have been seeing more diversity this semester compared to last, with a lot of Urgot as well. We've seen Ambessa, and I don't know if we're going to see it, but I know he really wants to play Aurora.
oh, that would be exciting. We haven't seen him switch up as often as I'd like. It would be pretty nice to see him play a few different characters, especially with that aggressive attack he's got going on.
The big issue of having him swap seems to be that they don't have anybody who plays physical or attack damage mid laners, which means LeBron cannot just play an ability damage top laner because they need the attack damage. If, for example, mid lane was going to pull out something like maybe a Talon or an Aurelia, which we haven't seen before, but I know Gavin Pimpabody desperately wants to be allowed to play Talon. But if we do that, we might see LeBron swap to either a Kayle or a Aurora pick, just one of those ability damage characters in top lane.
That would be pretty cool. And I'm just going to assume now we may not be seeing him playing Ornn today because for the past few games, the opponent has been blocking Ornn. They may be watching our streams, not our current streams, but our streams beforehand. They're getting ready.
If you do look at LeBron's all-time stats, Ornn is one of his highest win rate characters. So when they look through that before the game, they're just seeing that Ornn and figure, oh, I have to ban this. But then that lets him get on those other picks that they tend to sleep on, like that Urgot, or even Camille, which we haven't seen that much. But he did play Camille last week, and even though they lost, he was so strong on that character.
Yeah, we have really seen him dominate on all kinds of characters. Not often on the one that he is the most ready for, but like you said, he doesn't quite like that Ornn pick, so maybe he likes it when they ban him.
I know he's just so strong on that Ornn pick, but the other teams, they seem so scared to let him pick it, and they end up letting him get on all these other picks that they underestimate.
Yeah, it feels like that might be sometimes the downfall for the Point Park team. The other teams are watching. Well, they're looking into us a lot before the games, and they are choosing some pretty good bans.
Our team does it as well, but I feel like the issue might be we seem so affected by bans compared to them. Like, other teams seem to just have such a strong character pool, but the Point Park team has improved on that a lot recently, especially now that they have multiple mid laners. They have so much variety they can bring, especially with having so many players who can flex roles, as Kai, Kakid, and Rabio both play jungle, but Kakid also really strong on support. Gideon really strong on support as well. So many players on this team can play other roles. Now, they haven't done it that much this season, but they have so much like ability to just swap around, confuse the other teams.
Yeah, that is definitely an advantage on the Point Park side, but it is still pretty tough when they ban some of our lead characters.
And it is also worth noting, new league update coming out shortly. You're not going to be able to do that as much, as they are basically eliminating lane swapping in the game. With the penalties are just absolutely insane if you spend too much time outside your lane. I personally think the changes are kind of needlessly restrictive, but I'll wait for them to come to live before making a full statement.
Yeah, that might make it a little bit more tough on Point Park next season, but maybe by then they may have switched up their strategy a bit. Who knows? It's hard to tell. It looks like we are about to start.
Yeah, we should be getting into the draft momentarily. Now, I'm not sure what Point Park's going to go for here. I do know they were talking about maybe giving Gavin something other than Lissandra, which he has been playing so much of this season, but we will have to wait for Game 2 to see that, as I do know Gibby is going to be starting this one. We've got the starting lineup being Highway, Spooky, Gibby, Rabiro, and Tracer. Just a classic lineup from Point Park.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then we've got Kakid, who is the assistant coach for the team, so always good because he can contribute even if he's not playing.
Yeah, he can definitely help out the team even from the sidelines. Now, I will say that we are getting into drafting soon, and if they do end up banning Ornn, I'm going to call myself psychic. Just pre-warning.
In the back, we get to see so much of the faculty. We see Coach Chris and the assistant coach, Kai, talking to the team.
It looks like they are really preparing. The team is discussing strategies, or maybe something else. Who knows? I'm going to assume they're discussing strategies.
I'm fairly confident they'll be getting into they'll be discussing the draft. Now, I'm not sure what I'm expecting from them. I know that they've been trying to play around Highway in the bot lane recently, but they've been struggling quite a bit as they've been running into really good opposing bot lanes.
Yeah, we've had a couple of pretty wild drafts so far this season, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the more wild drafts that I've seen, they didn't go too well on Point Park's end. So maybe it's best for them to stick to what they know. Maybe they won't be allowed to stick to what they know.
But I believe we are going to be seeing a bit of a shift in strategy from the team, as it seems like they're going to be trying. This is something they've been discussing, playing more around that mid lane as opposed to the bot lane, as bot lane has been having just some difficulties lately, which it's to be expected. You can't expect them to carry every single game, and it's always good to have other roles who can serve the same carry.
Oh,
And
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's just always great to have people you can play around.
And we are just getting out of spring break, like you said, so our team has had some time to do some extra practice while they were out of classes. So maybe that will be a bit of a benefit to them. I'm not sure if the other school is getting out of spring break, but if not, we might have a bit of an advantage there.
Now, the draft has... from Virginia.
Oh yeah, it is. It is a wonder whether or not that is maybe their main picks. Usually, it's kind of hard to guess.
It is worth noting, though, Gideon does play Victor, so banning this here is a bit of an interesting pick, especially as they did have first pick, but I presume they didn't want to risk maybe a Fizz counter pick, as Victor struggles a lot into those assassins. But we are going to be getting the first pick going to that Ezreal. Pretty interesting first pick, not necessarily a high priority pick, but Point Park does play a good bit of Ezreal, so I'm pretty confident they can perform on this. And we forgot to mention, but some interesting bans from Virginia, banning Braum, one of Gale's classic picks, and then Kalista and Lucian, two very strong AD carries. However, I don't believe we've ever seen Highway actually play Lucian.
Yeah.
We've seen a good deal of him on Kalista, but not Lucian. And it looks like Virginia's going to pick Corki. Interesting pick. He's really strong right now in the current meta. The wonder is if he's going to be top lane or bot lane, as he can play either of those completely fine.
Yeah, that is pretty curious. We're about to see... Oh, Mumu for the second red pick. Interesting.
Now, Amumu, very strong jungler, just so much CC on that character, which pretty good, especially as he has two of those bandage throws. Maybe he can chase down Ezreal's teleport. But if Ezreal just gonna have to play safe, there's a lot of damage coming from Corki if that is the bot laner. And Amumu, that CC is gonna be a threat if you aren't super tanky.
Yeah, but it is hard to guess what they may be putting these characters in.
Ooh, and Poppy. Now, that's a really interesting pick for Point Park, as there's 3 different players on the team who play Poppy. That could very easily be LeBron in the top lane, could be Rubio, although typically it would be Kai who plays Poppy jungle, or support, as she's strong in all 3 of those roles.
It's really just a guess. It could be anybody playing Poppy. I mean, so far, it is an interesting pick. Oh, Rakan.
Ooh, and they're going to the classic Rakan pick. Now, that is 100% support, which means this Poppy, I'm leaning towards probably being top lane. I don't think Rubio plays Poppy, but we'll have to wait and see if maybe it is going to be Rubio on Poppy and LeBron getting to pick something else.
That could be the case. And now, Rakan is probably...
Rakan is 100% the support. Rakan just doesn't really play anything else.
Yeah.
Ooh, Zyra. Now, that is most likely the support, as there is an Amumu. Although Amumu support is something you can do, and Zyra is capable of jungling, so we'll see if they do that, but it would be a very atypical play. Although, I personally would love to see it. Now, getting to the last bans here, looks like they're going to be banning LeBron's Urgot, and then a Zed ban. banning Zed is really interesting. He's, I believe, the lowest win rate mid laner in the game right now. But in the hands of someone good on him, he's still absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, maybe somebody on the enemy team is playing it. Well, is a Zed player and is apparently pretty good. Good enough for a ban.
And then last ban from the red side, gonna be Galio. Makes a lot of sense. We've seen both Gavin and Gideon playing that Galio pick in the mid lane. And he's just such a versatile pick. So much CC, which gives a lot of kill potential early game as if the jungler rotates. But yeah, such a strong pick. Interesting to see it banned. And then Point Park banning Yone. Now, we have seen Gideon play a lot of Yone this season and do pretty good on it. But looks like they're going to be going for something else here as they're electing to ban it instead.
Yeah, this is looking a bit more like a Point Park setup that I've seen before. Less out of the box than I've seen these past few games. This might be a good sign. It could be a bad sign. It's hard to tell. And
then Virginia picking that set. Now, I know LeBron is probably pretty happy with that as he's really good at playing into set. Set, pretty simple character. If you understand how he works, you can outplay him pretty well. And unless LeBron is going to be that poppy, we'll see what he does. Ooh, and that's LeBron, 100%, breaking out the Ambessa. Now, that is one of his favorite characters currently, and he is so strong on her. And it is also a great matchup into set, as you can just dance around him.
Oof, yeah, we might be seeing another LeBron versus his opponent game. That is going to be rough for the opposing side.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Set can do. That's just a rough matchup for him. Ambessa, so much mobility, and it looks like gonna be Gibby on the Veigar pick. Great pick, I think. Infinite scaling means they'll always be relevant late game. Even if anyone else is behind, they'll have so much damage from the mid lane. Veigar, really strong character. Now, last pick going to Virginia. And we'll see what they do here. Looks like it's going to be Orianna, who definitely mid lane, which means I'm assuming Corki Zyra bot lane. Pretty solid comps from both sides.
Yeah, it could really go either way. But like I said, this does look a lot more like a Point Park comp. This might be beneficial for us.
Yeah, I don't really see any glaring weaknesses in either of these teams. Although, maybe you could say Virginia lacks Engage, but they do have a Mumu, who, while Engage isn't quite as potent as Rakan, it's still definitely a strong Engage, so I don't even think that's a weakness. But yeah, just interesting comps here. And we'll be waiting for them to get into the actual game here. Should be a couple minutes as we have to wait for them to load in and then the spectator delay. But I'm really excited for this. Interesting comps from both of them. Get to see some exciting picks. LeBron on one of his strongest characters. Should be a treat to see.
Oh, absolutely. And while we are waiting, we might as well talk about our sponsor, Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, shout out to Red Bull sponsoring us down here at Point Park. Just so great to have during these games.
Oh yeah, it really keeps you awake. And on that same note, if you are considering joining Point Park and want to join the esports team, you can get free Red Bull any time of the day.
And a scholarship if you do end up playing for one of our teams. Reminder, we do play Rocket League, Valorant, and League of Legends. And always looking for new players.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is, we really are ready to expand the esports team. We would really like to get more into social media, get more into just the school in general, and more players, more crew members. It could really help us go that distance.
But yeah, just looks like the team's in high spirits here as we are going to be loading into this first match. Now, I'm excited to see Rabiro on Poppy. I don't think I've seen him on this champ before.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. It'll definitely be an interesting game to watch. I'm not too sure how he might end up playing.
We do typically see characters like Poppy being played by Kakid, the other jungler, but I think Rabiro is definitely a skilled enough player to make it work. I've just not seen it from him before. He typically plays, obviously he has his OG pick, Wukong, but he's been playing so much Diana, even Nocturne recently, although that has been banned out a lot as people just despise dealing with Nocturne.
Yeah, we've got a lot of switching up happening with the Point Park team this season. And fingers crossed, when we get more players next year, we'll have even more switching up.
Yeah, now, as we're waiting for this, good League of Legends news. They've brought back Hextech chests. They were removed about a month ago, and it was met with such extreme backlash, and thankfully they have added them back. I'm so happy. I needed my 3 skins.
Oh yeah, look at that. They listen to the players. I mean, that's always important. Even if sometimes the client isn't the best, at least they're listening.
Yeah, and hopefully it is a step in the right direction. League has had a rough year so far, but hopefully showing that they listen to that might be a good step. We'll have to see if they can continue it from here. And on the topic of other new things in League, Mel, the newest character, everyone complained she was absolutely insane on release. She's currently one of the weakest characters in the entire game after so many emergency nerfs.
I mean, that definitely seems like a bit of a punishment on players. I did just say they're listening. They're listening to everything you say, and whether it is a punishment or a prize, it's hard to tell.
Personally, I'm really hoping they make some changes to her soon. She's such a fun character, but she's just so, behind some of these other mid lane carries. Especially since she doesn't even play mid lane right now. She was designed for mid lane. You only really see her in bot lane or support. Which, it's a similar case to what happened with characters such as Zyra, Seraphim, where they come out, they're so strong in the mid lane, and they end up being nerfed so heavily to where their only viable role is support. Thankfully, we've seen some buffs to Seraphim and Zyra to fix that. Seraphim being played in APC technically, or mid lane a good bit, and Zyra still seeing a little bit of play in the jungle, but not as much as they used to, as they've become pretty much designated support characters, and I really hope Mel doesn't fall to that same fate.
Yeah, it can definitely be pretty rough introducing a new character into League, especially with all the characters that are already playable. It's hard to balance so many characters.
Yeah, and we do also see Mel's mother, Ambessa, has become one of those staples in the meta recently. Just such a strong top laner. For a while, they were super dominant in the mid lane, as a lot of mid lane mages struggled with her mobility. But yeah, hopefully Mel sees the same thing, where she gets back up and is able to be viable.
Oh, absolutely. It looks like we are about to start. Maybe a couple seconds from minutes.
We'll be waiting for a few minutes as we have to wait for the observer delay to get into this. But just a couple more minutes and we'll be bringing the first game of the series to you guys. Now, as we were talking about before, recent characters in League, I feel like this has happened so much, where a character comes out and is designed for one role, but they can't figure out quite how to balance them, so they push them into another role, and that role always seems to be support. Vel, she came out, was super strong in jungle. You know what she is now? A support. Senna, super strong ADC. You know what she is now? A support. I really hope they do make some changes to these characters, as it does feel kind of bad that they're only really being played in that one role now.
Yeah, with League, it does sometimes seem like they are kind of aiming for the moon, going with just a few too many characters. I mean, like I said, it can be hard to balance so many characters. They're putting a lot of attention on these new characters and comparing them to all the old ones. And so every time a new one comes out, not always the best.
Then again, I did just call Vel a new character. She has been out for 4 years now. But in the term of League of Legends, which I believe is like 12 years old, that's still a new character.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just insane to think about the scale of this game, how long it's been going on, how much is in the game.
yeah, it seems like they just keep adding stuff, new characters, new everything. It's a really aggressive game. They really are keeping at it. And as much as you can complain about League, how anything about League, as much as you can complain, they are putting a lot of love into it, and they always have.
Yeah, and we also, on that note of new things, there was also the new season, they added feats of strength, getting those upgraded boots. They added the roses. I don't remember the official name, but the roses you collect throughout the match. And they also added the new boss, Atacon, which I think is one of the best new additions. It took a bit of changes as its rewards were too overpowered at the start, but it feels like it's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, one of the first games of the season did have that new boss, and I believe it seemed like it was what took our team away from winning that game.
Yeah, early on, Atacon was so strong, especially the version of it that gives you that revive, because originally it was like instant. There was no punishment for dying. They've changed it, so I believe now it's 15 seconds, which is a lot faster than if you were to respawn normally at that point of the game, as Atacon spawns at, I believe, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough that they are coming out with these new patches and changes in the middle of the season, because it's hard to compare later season games to earlier season games and say that they were on the same level.
Yeah, just so many changes constantly. Even throughout this, like, one season, we've seen so many balance changes.
Yeah, and it's hard to say that one team didn't win because of different balances, or one team didn't lose because they were unbalanced.
Yeah, there's always the chance, like, your best character gets hit by a nerf and suddenly isn't in the meta anymore. And in a competitive environment, that can mean a lot.
Yeah, that is probably one of the most difficult things about playing League in these official League matches, because, I mean, it's not like Rocket League, it's not like Valorant. You won't get those sudden aggressive changes in those other games.
In Valorant, they do have changes, but it's spread out so much more compared to League. And I think it makes it so much more impressive for those players to stay on top of the game, as they have to adapt so frequently. Now, we are waiting for the game to start. We should be getting in here in just a second now.
We always say that, but then it's not quite a second. Fingers crossed it really is a second this time.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. Hopefully Point Park doesn't get invaded this time, as every single game last week, they got invaded in their jungle. It was so mean.
Oh, that is rough. It seems like sometimes when these teams are going a bit aggressive, that's when Point Park falls.
It seems like they're pretty strong when they're the ones being aggressive. They need to work a bit on defense, playing passively without falling too behind. And it looks like Virginia expected an invade from Point Park. They didn't go for one, but they had all 5 of their players sitting in this one bush just in case Point Park tried to.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen Point Park invade very often. A few games, maybe.
It does look like they might be going for something here. No, just dropping the ward on Raptors and electing to play it safe. Probably a smart choice. And it does look like Rabiro on that Poppy is going to be starting top lane to rotate, try and get some early pressure in that bottom side of the map. Which, always a smart choice, especially against such a strong bot lane character like Corki. You want them to be behind as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely. Already we're seeing a little bit of fighting. Not quite set up to really go one-on-one.
We see LeBron has that launch skin from Mbessa, an absolutely beautiful skin in my opinion, although I do think the effects are a bit much. It's still a gorgeous skin, as we see just a bit of trading happening in these lanes. Now, this mid lane is probably going to be the least intense of these two, as both of them are playing late game characters. Although Veigar struggles so much early. Orianna also does, but not quite to the same extent.
Yeah, right now we're just kind of seeing trading blows. No real strategy set up quite yet.
Oh, and it does look like a bit of a fight going in top. Both members about half health. This is a rough situation for Set, though. The Ignite comes out, and that looks like it's going to be first, but no, he lives on a sliver of health.
Oof, that was rough. We almost missed the kill.
Oh my god, I just noticed. LeBron doesn't have Flash. He's taken Ignite Teleport, a insanely risky play. We'll see if it pays off. He did almost get the kill. Unfortunate that he couldn't. That's due to Set passive. The lower health he is, the more he regenerates.
That is pretty interesting. That does seem like a pretty good passive for LeBron, considering how aggressive he can be. Although, we may not be seeing him be as aggressive.
Yeah, that passive there made all the difference, letting the Set survive on that sliver of health. And we do see Set teleported back to lane. LeBron saving his teleport and electing to just walk back. And due to the situation he was in, perfectly acceptable choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It looks like right now, Highway and Spooky are just kind of holding their own.
They are getting some lane pressure, but it's pretty even still. No team has a decisive lead. Oh, an aggressive teleport in from Highway. Does a lot of damage. Not able to get anything here. But Poppy is here. They might be going for a tower dive. Oh, and Spooky dashes in. It goes down, but both members are one shot. Wide Boy gets taken out. Oh my god, what is happening? Highway goes down.
That was an interesting play. I'm not sure what they were going for there. It didn't quite work, whatever it was.
They went for a very aggressive tower dive, and it just quite didn't pay off. The timing was a bit off. They didn't have enough minions to take it.
That is rough. That first tower would have been pretty good to start out, but...
If they could have got those, it would have been nice. But it is going to be first blood in the favor of Virginia. I do believe the layout on the top is inversed right now.
That's a little bit confusing.
But yeah, it is 1-2 in favor of Virginia. But still close. But Point Park has to be careful, as if they give up one more kill, that is going to be the first feat of strength gone, given up, and they don't want to give those up. Even though they have been nerfed to not be as strong, it's still just a nice buff to have.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a few extra buffs. It can really push a game forward. It can push a team forward. We've seen that happen a few times with Point Park's games. We've seen that happen with their opponents' games.
Now, this bot lane, it seems like Highway is playing so aggressively. I don't think I've seen him once where he hasn't just teleported in immediately, tried to get damage. Although they are a bit low health compared to their opponents, especially that Zyra does a lot of damage for support.
Oh, yeah, it sure seems like that. It looks like still just trading blows. I really do hope that they can get that that tower that they were going for before, but it doesn't seem like they're anywhere close to it right now.
Yeah. Oh, LeBron gets level 6, ults immediately, but gets ulted by Set under tower. He might go down here, Set able to dash up, but oh my god, barely escaping from LeBron. That was just unfortunate timing. The second he ulted in, Set got his ultimate, which almost won Set the fight, as he was able to just ult him under tower.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, we were saying LeBron is pretty aggressive with his plays, and sometimes that can be his downfall.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful of Set ult, especially if you're near a tower, as if he gets behind you, he's throwing you under the tower, and that's just basically a free kill. LeBron barely surviving there. And we do see first objective Void Grubs being taken by Virginia. Point Park not in a position to take the dragon, unfortunately. Normally, if the other team takes Void Grubs, you want to take dragon and vice versa. Looks like they're going to be going for this, though, as 4 members are hovering dragon.
Oh, Ooh, that is going to be rough for Point Park if they can't get that dragon.
Yeah, this might be a bit of a fight here, but only the bot lane is here for Virginia, as Amumu is rotating over, but he might not get here in time. I think Point Park might have wanted to just take the fight, though. They elected to just do the dragon. Oh, and now they engage. It might work. Oh, the Zyra's dead there, but oh, the Amumu comes in, has ultimate, and that's going to be feats of strength in favor of Virginia as they get a number of kills. Gideon gets a double kill, but I don't see him escaping this one, especially without Flash. And it's going to be a double kill for Yeehaw Sauce, the Orianna. That Amumu ult was insane.
Yeah, and it sure seems like that might be the dragon for Virginia. Unless Point Park can somehow get there in time.
That is going to be dragon taken. Now, Point Park in a rough spot. They can't give up any objectives, as the next objective they give up, that's feats of strength to Virginia, which isn't the end all of the game, obviously, but still, always want to avoid giving it up if possible.
Yeah, like I said, the more buffs, the more power your team has, and we've seen that make or break a team quite a few times this season and in previous seasons.
Now, one thing, I've said this before, but I really wish on characters like Veigar, we could see how many stacks they have. As those characters, the whole thing is building up stacks with either their passive or an ability. I wish I could see that. It would make it so much easier to tell how strong they are. Because I don't know if Veigar has like 10 stacks or has like 50.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, especially as casters, as the people who are telling you what's happening. We'd like to know exactly how.
Oh, LeBron ults in, set counter ults, but not able to get into tower. Oh, and he's gonna barely escape yet again. He wasn't able to get LeBron under tower there. LeBron doesn't have any angle to tower dive, though.
Yeah, Set is getting some pretty risky escapes this game, but it seems to be working out in their favor.
It feels like this top lane has been pretty even, honestly. They both keep playing super aggressive, although Set teleporting back to lane, a bit risky for LeBron as he's half health. Can't really take a fight, although Highway left alone in bot lane as Gale rotates up. Looks like they are playing around these Void Grubs.
Yeah, they do want to get at least something. I mean, they didn't get their Void, they didn't get the Drake. It's looking pretty rough for Point Park right now.
Yeah, I think Point Park just needs to get at least one of these grubs. Deny them from getting the feats of strength at least this early.
Yeah, they've gotta start playing not against the other team, but for themselves. They have to start getting those buffs. Otherwise, we will see a massive hit in the later game.
Yeah, I don't even think feats of strength is the most relevant part, but if you give Set all of those feats, or all of those Void Grubs, he's going to melt your towers, and that is not something you can really afford. That's so much pressure. But Void Grubs are going to be spawning in a few seconds here, but looks like both teams have a number of members hovering nearby. Veigar does back, but he does teleport, so he will be there, and he's already has his first item.
Yeah, it looks like they may... I can't quite tell if they're going for the Void Grubs or not. It doesn't look like it.
I think they're trying to play it safe. They do spot Rabiro in the bush, but Veigar is here. Spooky rotating up. They don't have ultimate just yet, unfortunately. If they did, it would be a big factor in their favor. But they still have Veigar there. And Corky is still alone in bot lane with Ezreal. Oh, Cage comes out from Veigar, not able to get a stun, but does do a lot of damage. Ooh, the ult comes out from Rabiro, sends Amumu all the way back. Looks like they're going to be able to get one of the grubs there, I believe. Yes, they take a Void Grub. Oh, I also didn't notice the first time. They also took a grub there. Oh, but that's bad. A big Amumu ult hits 4 members of Point Park.
There goes pretty much the entire team, all but Highway. Highway is not in that area. He's not holding his own against anybody. He's holding his own against
the Corky in bot lane.
Yeah.
That is going to be a quadra kill for Amumu. That's rough.
Oof, that is tough. That is not the best start for Point Park.
Yeah, Amumu already super strong, and Highway getting solo killed in bot lane. I think he just plays too aggressive with his teleport.
Yeah, already it looks like Drazami was going for the tower. Didn't quite get it very far down, but once they start going for towers, that's when you know you've got to start playing.
Big issue for Point Park, although they did get at least one grub, so Virginia Wesleyan doesn't have beats yet, but I think they can get them from this dragon or the tower. But big gank in bot lane, although they don't have that much damage, they should be able to get the kill here. Yep, and Rabio picks up the kill on Wide Boy, and Tracer doing a lot of damage to the tower, able to get a good amount of gold from those turret platings.
Oh yeah, but it looks like he is being kicked back just a bit.
He does get stunned under tower, but does manage to dodge the big punch from Set. That punch does so much damage if you get caught in the middle. But Point Park going for a bit of a risky play here, just ripping the Drake. Looks like they might... Oh no, wait, Orianna's here though. Her ultimate is scary. They do get the dragon, but Amumu and Orianna are here, both of them really strong. Zyra gets forced back though, not quite dead. Oh, and Gideon flashes onto her to get the kill. Spooky getting poked out and barely escapes with their life. But that is, I think that's in favor of Point Park. They got a kill. It was a 1-for-1 trade. However, they also got the dragon.
Yeah.
That helps them a lot more.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty helpful. I mean, it kind of evens up just a little bit. Not quite perfectly even. They still have more grubs, but...
But yeah, just waiting for now. Nothing really happening. Orianna doing a lot of damage to this mid lane tower. Like I said, Veigar just doesn't have that much early pressure, especially compared to anyone who can actually clear. But they're back. They have Rod of Ages, and the Lost Chapter, so they should be able to stay in lane as long as they don't run out of health. That's all they have to worry about now. Infinite mana, essentially. Now, Corki. I have no clue how Corki builds. I didn't know Triforce was something you build on him. That feels really weird to see. Ooh, and Tracer gets caught by the stun from Set, able to use his shield to survive the punch though. I think if he didn't have that shield, he's just dead there.
Yeah, that would have been a rough death too. That would have given that tower full opening, and once the tower's down.
Oh, 3 members of Virginia diving Highway in bot lane. Spooky is there to the rescue though, but Amumu is still running and able to just keep chasing them down with those bandage throws. Highway is just getting bullied this game. They keep sending so many after him now. I feel like they've recognized that he is behind and they're trying to keep him that way.
Yeah, it sure seems like that. And I mean, it's really, Virginia Wesleyan is really playing pretty aggressively.
Oh, we do see Rabiro going for a really risky play, trying to steal the red buff. But he gets caught out, able to ult away I believe it was the Orianna to get to safety. But this is going to be first tower for Virginia.
That is rough for Point Park.
Yeah, I believe that is going to be feats of strength for them. Most of them don't have full boots yet, but that's still going to be a good power spike once they get their boots. Just so much power in that. Even without the upgrade, the extra stats provide such a difference, honestly. It doesn't feel like it, but if you actually look at the numbers, it's pretty sizable.
Yeah, and even beyond just the buffs that allows, the first tower being taken down, that can really just remove morale from the team. And once morale goes,
yeah,
the game.
It also just makes it so much harder to play if your lane doesn't have a tower. It gives up so much map pressure. Now, we do see Set trying to get aggressive onto the Ambessa. She's just able to dash away though, staying safe. Now, it looks like Ezreal and Corki are about even in items. Corki has a little bit more, but he's down in farm. But it's made up for by him having 3 kills, 3 assists. He's currently sitting at 3-3-3, which is really fitting considering he has a Triforce, the item that sells for 3 gold.
Interesting.
Pretty funny coincidence, but yeah. Down in farm, ahead in kills. Bot lane, Ezreal is just struggling a bit here. Ezreal, kind of difficult champion to play if you're behind. Hopefully able to do something here. We do see LeBron completely whiff an ultimate there. Looked like they were trying to engage, but underestimated the distance. But pretty neutral. Highway teleports in despite being low. Just trying to poke out Orianna, trying to get this tower here. Point Park should be able to take this tower. Yep, and that is going to be a tower for Point Park, but Highway is very weak. And he gets taken out by the orb from Yeehaw Sauce.
It looks like right now we're about even in levels. Nobody is quite below the other team. The team's pretty equal in their strength.
In terms of levels, they're even, and most of them are even in terms of gold. However, you got to look at that Amumu, 505. The Amumu is already becoming a problem.
Oof. And we were saying that Amumu is pretty powerful, and that pick can make or break a game. Yeah,
and Amumu already finished 2 full items. Amumu's gonna be scary here. They need to shut him down. He does have a big bounty on him though, so if they can get a shutdown, that's gonna be a lot of value. Big fight going in top lane. Oh, Tracer super weak, but Rabio dashing in to get the kill, but do give up Dragon for that.
Yeah, that is another down for Point Park.
But they should be able to take this top lane turret here, as Set isn't going to be alive for another 20 seconds. Should be a 3 turret. Zyra coming top lane to try and save it, but there is no chance she gets here in time. And if she does, I think she dies. There are 3 members of Point Park here.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. That's kind of pushing.
It is a bit of an awkward spot to be in, though, as they're so heavily stacked on this top side of the map. But there's nothing really to fight for. Also, I forgot to mention, Virginia did take out the Rift Herald. Set currently has the Eye. Atacon is going to be spawning here in about a minute.
Oh yeah, we didn't even see them take out the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I believe it was happening while one of those fights bot lane was happening.
Oh. Well, that's pretty good for Virginia. I mean, the Rift Herald, also something that we've seen make or break a game.
Yeah, you can get so much map pressure if you time it well to take out towers. Worth noting though, Veigar is ahead in mid lane. They're down a kill, but they're up farm and in items, which very good for them. Oh! The Rift Herald comes and takes the tower, but they just get jumped as they hop out, and Highway able to pick up his first kill. That's good. They lost the tower, but they were able to get a kill, and there was nothing they could do to save the tower.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, now the Rift Herald is gone, so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they got what value they could have. There was nothing really better they could have done there.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that they lost the tower, but I mean, at least it's not too much pressure, because now the towers they're just even.
Yeah, the Orianna is beginning to do a lot of damage here. Gale taking like a few hundred damage from one ability off that, despite being tanky. But Veigar, so much damage already. I really wish I could see how many stacks he has. He's got 2 items. Got his boots. Interestingly enough, he's building the anti-slow boots, or not slow stun, which not typically what you'd build on Veigar. You typically go the magic pen boots, especially into a tanky character like a Mumu or Set. But I guess he's gonna try and focus the other characters. And it is gonna be Set taking the top turret, which unfortunate, but that's going to be all of the tier 1 turrets down to Point Park. Now LeBron has to just run, spots all 4 members of the team in the mid lane except for the Set, who they do have vision on. But looks like they might be trying to fight for Atacon here.
Yeah, I believe that's the new boss, isn't it?
Yep, and I believe it's going, I'm not sure which form it is. I believe it's Ruinous, which is the one that gives flowers. Yep, you can tell because it's not aggressively glowing red. But that one gives you a bunch of flowers and buffs any rewards you get from other monsters. So each dragon they have gives 1% more of a buff.
Ooh, that would be a pretty rough thing for either team to get. Point Park we're really surrounding it. I mean, we could go for it.
It is worth noting though, they don't have the full team here, and they're in a bit of an awkward spot as Virginia knows where they are, but they are doing a good job of just poking it out. They just have to be careful in case Amumu decides to engage. If Amumu ults, Orianna can follow it up, and so can Zyra, and that would be bad. Oh my god, in the snipe from the ult from Tracer, not quite able to get the kill though due to missing that one ability. In a bit of a rough spot here though due to Zyra being here. And as he tries to run, Set is right there, not quite able to get the kill.
That was unfortunate. Not much Tracer could have done there. It looks like Point Park is
just going for the Atacon. Although I think they do spot the Amumu and elect to just back off. They are not willing to take a fight without numbers here, as it would be a 4v5.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Although, if Virginia Wesleyan gets that boss, which it looks like they're about to go for it, that would be rough on Point Park's end.
Yeah, I think Point Park just needs to try and stay alive. Don't give up any pressure. Wait for LeBron to respawn. Then you can fight.
Yeah, that's probably the best move. Wait for the whole team. Don't go on a 5v4. Instead, they're going to go for the turret. I mean,
they do get a lot of damage on mid turret. Not quite enough to take it out. Maybe if they had a couple more void grubs. But as they don't, they have to just wait. And the rest of the team is respawning. Point Park electing to back off, as if they don't, they were about to get collapsed on if they kept trying to take the turret.
Yeah, not quite worth it. A turret's great, but I mean, the entire team dead, that's not as great.
Yeah, we do see Veigar in bot lane and Ambessa just split pushing top. However, no one is bot lane to match Veigar. But it's a Veigar. He can't really push up as he doesn't have any mobility if he gets jumped.
Yeah, it seems like right now, I don't want to... I feel like Virginia Wesleyan is kind of ahead, and Point Park is in a pretty rough position.
They are ahead, but most of that lead is concentrated in like one or two characters. So if those characters get a shutdown, it could flip so quickly. And especially with characters like Veigar and Poppy, who are so good at locking down kills, if they make one mistake and Point Park can punish it, it's an even game.
Yeah, and we have seen Point Park come up from the underdog quite a few times. We have seen that it's pretty possible. Point Park has some pretty strong morale that goes forward even when they are down.
Yeah, and as I was talking about Veigar split pushing, I'm not sure how powerful they are yet. If they are at the point where they can just one-shot these people, then they can. Oh, but it looks like Virginia's just gonna rip the dragon. Point Park electing to take the tower. They aren't necessarily in a position to take the team fight, which is unfortunate as that is gonna put them on soul point. The next dragon, if Virginia gets it, gets soul. Oh my god, in a bit of a misplay from Rubio as he pushes the Orianna out of the damaging, I don't even know what the ability is called, and then he gets taken out by the Orianna. This is a bit rough here. Looks like they are going to be able to take out Amumu. That's huge. They do give up a number of kills, but Gideon escapes on 1 health and gets a 600 gold shutdown.
Oh yeah, and we're pretty far in, so it will be a while until those two characters come back. So they have some time to really take advantage of getting rid of them.
I think Veigar needs to just get another item, as that was so strong. I think he might be going for a Rabadon's. I'm not sure. Yep, he bought the second needlessly large rod. So definitely going for Rabadon's, which that is a huge power spike.
Yeah, I mean, not the needlessly large rod. So
we do see just Virginia resetting here, not letting Point Park get any extra value after giving up that shutdown. But yeah, that when he finishes his item, that is a massive power spike. Rabadon's, if you don't know, gives 30% extra. Just a 30% multiplier to your ability damage, and as every single ability Veigar hits gives him an extra point of ability damage, that is a lot of extra power.
Oh yeah, and any extra power could push that team forward all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think Point Park just needs to play around Gideon. He is so strong right now. Currently the highest level in the game. And also just dead even with Orianna pretty much in terms of farm. But they do so much more damage, even though they're both burst mages. We're at the point where Veigar is hitting hard.
Yeah, it seems like Point Park is slowly catching up. They may be able to cinch this win.
Yeah, it seems like Virginia is kind of just wasting their lead as they aren't taking a fight when they have the numbers. We do see a little bit of a skirmish, but nothing really happening. Zyra getting sent flying by Poppy. Poppy ult being down is unfortunate, though. That is a big ult to have in a team fight, as you can temporarily just make it a 4v3 or whatever.
Yeah, well, perhaps the ult will be ready once a team fight goes on.
Yeah, it does appear to be on a pretty quick cooldown. I feel like that ult should be on a way longer one for how strong it is. But yeah, just resetting, we see Veigar just farming top lane. If he just keeps farming, he will be so strong. That's the scary part about any infinite scaler, save maybe Swain, as he doesn't get that much damage. If you just let them farm, they become so strong.
Yeah, at some point you have got to shut it down. And it does seem like Virginia isn't really pushing with that small lead they've got, and it's slowly
getting whittled down.
Yeah, it's getting whittled down.
And I think they have a worse late game, so they really need to be trying to make a play here. They can't just let Veigar farm. If that happens, Veigar is going to one-shot everyone.
Yeah, if they can't end the game quick, then they may be in some trouble, because they are already showing that they're kind of slowing down a bit.
Yeah, and we see a bit of a fight here in bot lane, but the set, despite being a level up, is still behind in gold. And just getting out-traded by LeBron, who's just so good at juking with Ambessa. Her movement is so good if you know how to use it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Ocean Drake has spawned, but neither team are quite... I can't tell, are they?
It is not spawned just yet, actually, but it's going to be here momentarily. Oh, and Tracer all wins the set. This should be a free kill. He does so much damage, gets Set's flash, but look at him just running him down. And he gets the flash and the kill, but he's going to be getting jumped here by the Amumu. I don't see a world where he survives this, especially without flash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, wait, but the distraction worked perfectly. Point Park takes Baron.
Oh,
that's a huge play. They get an amazing kill on Set, and they get Baron. Point Park has brought this game, like, even... Drake is about to spawn, but Point Park can fight this. It's a 4v4. And Gideon is still the strongest person in this game. We'll see what happens. This fight is going to be very important.
Yeah, it looks like already both teams are kind of going for the Ocean Drake here.
Yeah, Point Park really wants to stop them from getting it just because they can't afford to give up Soul. Ocean Soul makes them so much tankier.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, they did get the Baron at least, so that's pretty nice.
They got Baron. Unfortunately, I don't think LeBron will have it as he died right before, so he can't push from it. Set TP's mid lane, and it's just going to get immediately jumped. The double stun comes out, but he's so tanky just on nature being a Set. They do give up Soul, but Point Park gets the kill. They might be able to turn this fight.
Yeah, it looks like the whole team is there, and they're all going for the towers. This might be a pretty good push. But
bit of a risky spot.
WESLEYAN.
Ooh, he hits the ult, sends Zyra flying. We'll see what happens. Zyra's still coming back, especially as they aren't in the jungle. It doesn't get as much value as it could have. But they do take the turret, I believe. Yep, they take a turret. They got a kill. Good value. They gave up Drake, which is unfortunate, but they're still in a good spot. The game is even, and for the first time, Point Park has taken the gold lead.
Yeah. Point Park is ahead in gold and Point Park is ahead in towers. We have quite the shot now. I mean...
Yeah, and Gideon has finished his death cap. He's at the point where you see any of those people from the bottom or mid lane from Virginia, you just one-shot them. You do so much damage as Veigar at this point in the game.
Yeah, all Point Park really has to do is push that middle. With how strong some of us are, I mean... There's a bit of a shot there.
Oh my god, I just noticed. Zyra is level 12 still. Gideon is level... Gideon and LeBron are both level 17, the highest levels in the game. They have taken an XP lead in most of their roles. Amumu has seemed like he's fallen off. He's not gotten a kill in, I believe, like 15 minutes.
Ooh, that is rough. It seems like that one death did kind of set him back a bit.
Yeah, Point Park not able to get any more value from the Baron, it looks like. They're trying to play it safe. Atacon is still in play. Looks like Point Park might be gearing up to try and take it. Especially while Virginia is split up, as they did just see the set in top lane.
Yeah, it seems like Virginia may have just forgotten about Atacon a bit. I mean, he's been there for a while, and neither team has quite pushed for him.
Yeah, although I don't really know if it's worth the risk at this point. But we'll see. It's still a good buff to get. Looks like LeBron is going to be backing, trying to stop Set from taking this tower. Not using teleport, though, so I think Set is going to take the tier 2. Yeah, unfortunate. Good map pressure from the Set. But if he doesn't get out now, he's dead. 4 members of Point Park collapsing on him.
Oh, that's not great for him.
Set is dead, but Point Park is going to be giving up Atacon here. Unfortunate. Oh my god, there's that Set damage I was talking about. Spooky, the tankiest member of Point Park, half his health bar gone in one hit.
Ooh, that is rough.
Oh, Highway does ult, trying to snipe the Atacon, but a bit late. Atacon has given up, but I don't know if it means that much. It's a little bit of a power spike, but I don't know if it's enough to swing a game.
Yeah, it seems like Virginia was kind of going after Atacon as a last-ditch effort. It may help them. I mean, if they can use that to get a few more buffs, maybe they can turn this around.
But we do have to point out Elder Dragon spawning in 3 minutes. Probably the strongest objective in the entire game, and Baron respawning in about a minute and a half. Those objectives, I feel like, are what decides this game.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it is pretty even, not in kills, but in towers, in gold. Well, a little bit under for Point Park.
I think Virginia has a slight lead just off the fact they have Soul, but they just... there's a few members of Point Park who are so strong right now.
Yeah, and it is important to note that, I mean, that top lane could be pushed. That middle lane for Point Park could be pushed. I mean... Yeah,
both are down to just their inhibitor towers. We do see Spooky might be getting caught out here. Nope, takes a lot of poke, but able to dash out safely. Corky gets spotted alone in River. Not alone, never mind. Set was right on top of him. Could not see the icon because of that. But they are a bit out of position. Corky flies out, but Point Park trying to collapse, not able to get there in time. Veigar 1v1ing Orianna in the bot lane. I don't think this is a fight Orianna wins at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. It does kind of seem like both teams are just trying to get that lead, and it's not quite working out for either of them.
Yeah, although I'm really interested in this fight in the bot lane. Gideon hiding, hits the cage. If they get stunned, it's over for Orianna, but able to not avoid a stun narrowly. The ult comes out, but she's still losing the fight. Gideon still holding ult, does so much damage with that ult. Ooh. Rabio, though, caught in a bad spot. Spooky right behind, though, might be able to turn this fight. We'll see. They are doing a lot of damage, and the team from Virginia is divided. It looks like Tracer is way too overextended, does go down, and it doesn't look like Point Park is going to be able to turn this fight anymore, as Tracer was just in a rough spot. Veigar is coming over, though. They might be able to make something happen, but oh no, Veigar's alone. This could be very bad if he goes down here. Rabio's here, though. Wait. Oh, and they turned it. Take out the Zyra. Now, can they escape is the question.
Yeah.
That jumps onto him. Gideon flashes out, turns. Oh my god, Gideon is playing so aggressive, but Rabiro is peeling perfectly, keeping Gideon alive. Point Park is playing this incredibly. And that should be a free kill. No, they survived thanks to that Ocean Soul healing. This is so intense here. Rabio goes in. Spooky gets sniped by the Amumu, though. Oh, this is a rough spot. No, Pick's going down.
Ooh, that might be it for Point Park. Highway's the only one.
Highway's the only one, and look at that respawn timer. Gideon isn't going to be up for a minute.
That is tough.
This might be game, but are a number of towers they have to work through. This is going to be a 3 Baron, though. Just unfortunate. Maybe if LeBron hadn't died there, they could have won that fight. But I need to talk about it. That was played so well by Gideon and Ribeiro. They were playing perfectly together. Gideon pushed up into the most aggressive positions, only for him to be saved last second, like 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that was a close call for Virginia Wesleyan, but they just barely made it, and now it looks like Elder Dragon spawned, and...
Ooh! Zyra tries to take a 1v1 against Ambessa. Not a fight you want to be taking, especially 4 levels down. Gets their flash and taken down to half health. But the teams look like they're going to be fighting for Elder Dragon here. Elder Dragon, like I said, strongest objective in the game.
Probably going to be the game changer, whoever gets it.
Although Virginia does have Baron, so they seem to be wasting it by not making any pushes. But if they... Oh my god, they're just ripping Elder Dragon. This is such a risky play. And the Poppy ult comes out, barely whips. Oh, they lose Elder Dragon. We'll see what happens here, but with Elder Dragon, I don't think they can win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, now they don't have... Yeah, that's pretty rough. This might be game.
I'm pretty confident this is game, unless Gideon pulls off one of the greatest plays of all time. Also, look at that damage. Like, 1 hit and it's a third of their health bar.
Absolutely insane. Look,
oh my god.
Just destroying those towers.
Yeah, with Baron and the Void Grubs, they do so much damage. Point Park just trying to stop them, trying to stall, but they do so much damage. They might just be able to rip these towers. Can't. And with Baron buff, I think this is going to be end of the game, unless something huge happens here.
There's no stopping the shredding.
Yeah, the towers are going to be taken down, and it looks like this is going to be game.
That makes the first game for Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah, first game, that was so close. Point Park was behind for a while, but they turned it so well. That was such a close match, it felt like.
That was really close. That was a real nail-biter, and we do still have that second match to see if we can tie it up and turn it into a third game.
I think they have a shot. That was like a dead even game. That could have gone either way.
The only issue is, like I said, morale. I've seen a lot of times with all of Point Park's teams, once that morale's down, it can stay down. But it's always 50-50.
Yeah, I think, honestly, they just need to tighten up a little bit. There were a few moments where they could have won, but they were just a tiny bit out of position. If they can fix that, they're in such a strong spot.
Yeah, it seemed like Virginia Wesleyan, for a little bit, wasn't quite sure what to do with Point Park. But once they figured it out...
Yeah, it seems like they had the same issue we typically see from Point Park, where they kind of just aren't sure what to go for in that mid-game. But we are going to be getting into Game 2 here in a little bit. But I believe we should be going to a quick break, and we should see you guys shortly for Game 2.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be getting into the draft here, like, immediately.
Oh.
That first game was so close. Excited to see what changes for this game, too. Point Park first picking Corky. They saw Corky on the other team and were like, absolutely not. Ooh, Smolder for Virginia. Absolutely hate that dragon.
Yeah,
But
that's an ugly little dragon. Look at its stupid little flat face.
But yeah, Smolder, very interesting pick. I feel like that's their response to the Veigar picking their own infinite scaler, as Veigar was destroying them during that last game towards the end, even though they ended up losing. So they're picking their own infinite scaler to match it, and it looks like they're going to be going for the Zyra pick yet again.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to be sticking to it too much.
Yeah, and they also stick with the same bans as last game. Now, I believe Point Park did ban a Mumu.
Good call, good call.
I went out there, every single person on the team was talking about their deep hatred for that character, so makes sense that we won't see it. It looks like, last minute change from Lee Sin to Vi. Vabio loves that pick. She is so good at just the leading hyper carries.
Arcane vibes.
It's almost like she's from Arcane.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Vi, so good into characters like Smolder, because late game, Smolder is a problem. You know what you do? You walk up, press R. She's dead.
Get rid of her. No one likes Smolder. No one.
I like playing Smolder.
Of course you do.
But yeah, oh damn, I wanted that Pike. Never mind. I was so excited for Pike.
Nope, Rakan again. I mean, solid pick. We didn't see much of an issue with Rakan the first game.
I just wanted to see Pike. We haven't seen a Pike game since Gibby used to play support, as that was one of his go-to picks. But now that he doesn't play support anymore, we have not seen a Pike in so long. Although we do see it banned quite a lot, as the other teams think Gibby is our support still.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh, Virginia pulling the same thing we did with Corky by taking our Poppy. Apparently, they thought Poppy was a big problem, which, to be fair, Poppy had some big moments.
Yeah, I mean, a couple big moments. It wasn't much of a standout, not as much as Corky was.
Yeah, not as much, but it did still have some moments, although there were a few moments where Poppy kind of trolled and saved people's lives by just pushing them out of danger.
Yeah, I mean, interesting steal.
But it does look like bans are pretty much identical to the last game, every single ban for Virginia being the same, and Point Park, I believe, keeping it pretty similar. Although adding in a Mumu, banning Lee Sin maybe? I don't know why you'd ban Lee Sin, especially since I believe Poppy is going to be the jungler, but...
Yeah, and they didn't play Lee Sin or anything last game. What a random ban.
I mean, we'll see if they actually do commit to it. I do know they like hovering Lee Sin.
There we go.
There it is. That makes sense. Malphite would be deadly for Corky. Fun fact about Malphite, this has no relation to the current match other than Malphite. You want to know the biggest counter pick in all of League of Legends? Malphite into Sylas. Sylas can copy people's ultimates, so it doesn't even matter if he's in your lane. If there's a Malphite on the enemy team, you statistically just win that game if you're Sylas.
Huh.
Because the ult is so good on a character like Sylas. But going back to the Orianna pick, so far... pretty similar comp in terms of what they do, but just changing up the characters a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of random steals from both sides. It kind of seems like it is a bit of bad blood between the two teams.
Oh, and worth mentioning, we are swapping in Gavin this game in mid lane instead of Gibby on Syndra. He has been begging to play Syndra, and she finally got through the ban phase. Hopefully he can deliver on his own hype.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when our players beg to play somebody, they better do it well when they finally get the chance.
But yes, Syndra, one of his favorite characters, and she is so strong right now. She's just a great all-around character. Oh, and that is a very interesting pick. Olaf, something I don't think I've ever seen LeBron on.
Yeah, I've never seen Olaf in any of our games.
The fun fact is that no one plays Olaf.
Fun fact, nobody plays him.
But I've never seen LeBron pick this character. He's a very aggressive character. he basically just runs you down, which could be pretty solid into this pretty squishy comp. And then Dr. Mundo, that's a very weird pick. Dr. Mundo, kind of considered a troll pick in higher ranks, as he's one of those noob stomper characters. He's so good early, when you're new to the game, because you don't know how to deal with the fact he keeps healing.
Huh.
But
Very
late game,
interesting.
and by late game, I mean when you have hundreds of hours on the game, not late into a game, phrasing, my bad, he kind of just falls off as people know what to do with him.
Very, very strange. I mean, I was saying bad blood, maybe they're messing with us.
Yeah, both picking some weird picks. The Olaf, completely unexpected. Honestly, I would have more expected to see LeBron on maybe Tryndamere or Trundle, aka Olaf, but better. Although, not exactly. They're both aggressive, run-it-down split pushers. Olaf doesn't have the same potency as those ones do, but he does have that slow resistance, or no, immunity on his ultimate, which could be very good into Smolder, as Smolder's main way of staying alive is a slow.
Yeah, it does. It kind of seems like both teams are sort of trying to throw off their opponents with these picks, and it may work in either team's favor, but at the same time, by throwing off your opponent, you're also throwing yourself off.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. I don't think I've ever seen the Olaf pick from LeBron. I want to see it. This is something new, and new is what I love to see from him.
Oh yeah, it's always exciting to see him play somebody that we haven't seen before, especially with his play style. We really get to see what these characters are made out of.
Yeah, something interesting though, Point Park doesn't necessarily have a hyper carry like they did last game, whereas Virginia does. Smolder, super strong, absolutely deadly late game, although he has an incredibly weak early game. Whereas Point Park, I guess Corky is a carry, but I wouldn't class him as a hyper carry.
Yeah, I mean, we never quite see one player on the team carry anybody else, but with the team comp, you might be seeing that this game.
I think they might be trying to play around LeBron, as that is a way more aggressive top laner than we normally see from him. Although, even though Mbessa's pretty aggressive, it does not match up to Olaf, who just runs you down.
Yeah, that might be pretty rough for top lane. But, I mean, at least these bans could help Point Park just a little bit. Banning Amumu,
yeah. Amumu, so annoying to play against. He has 3 stuns and a slow. So much CC. He's so tanky. And late game, especially with the Ocean Drake, they would hit him with, like, every ability. And he'd take no damage because he'd just heal.
Yeah, it really seems like he was the deciding factor last game. It was always whether or not they could get Amumu down, and now that he's not going to be in the match, it's a bit more even, it seems like. But it's always hard to tell, especially when we are just entering into a game. Although this is the second game, so we've seen both schools' play styles. It could be anybody's match.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. We get to see Gavin finally on that Syndra. Finally on something that isn't Lissandra. He has been so fed up with playing her. And it's the same thing that happened to LeBron, where they do so good on a character in their first game that it becomes their character.
Oof, yeah, I mean, that's sometimes a good way to go, but also you get too stuck on a character, then the character gets banned, then what in the world are you going to do? Nothing. There's nothing for you to do. You're done.
But yeah, I'm excited to see this. Smolder, pretty strong. They have a pretty strong combo with Orianna. If Orianna ults, it sets up Smolder ult. However, they don't really have engage like they did last game. I feel like they're playing counter engage instead, especially with Vi. The Vi on Point Park, a super strong engage character. So I think they're trying to play counter engage, as they don't have a single character with good engage here.
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of switching up their strategy just a little bit, which could always be good. And like we said, we have switched out our players just a bit. So maybe that new strategy comes with the switch out.
Oh, I actually didn't realize, because this is one of Rubiro's typical picks, we are actually seeing Kakid swap in this game.
Oh.
I honestly thought it was Rubiro, as Rubiro plays a lot of Vi, and I don't think I've seen Kakid on her recently, but that is pretty in line with his typical style of jungler, so I'm very confident he can pull it off.
Yeah, and I mean, a player switch out, especially when the other team isn't quite aware of that, that could always throw the other team off. A sudden drastic change in play style, it's always a question of whether the other team can even pick up on that.
Yeah, but I think Vi is really strong into this team comp. Again, 3 super squishy characters in this bottom half of the map, which I think Vi can capitalize on so well. Now, I don't think she's going to do this, but you know what would be really funny? Pure lethality Vi. It's not a good build, but it is so much fun because you one-shot people.
That would be pretty interesting.
The issue of that is it's kind of really, really bad into Poppy, who builds armor. Although, Mundo, despite being one of the tankiest characters in the game, does not build armor. He just builds health, and he scales off that. Which, interesting. I still think Mundo is one of the weirdest character designs, because he does damage, so much damage actually, despite not building a single damage item. But he does get really hard countered by anti-heal.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really hard when there are characters who can be countered so easily. It's like I was saying, balancing. And I mean, you pick one character, if you don't ban the right one, you could be done for.
Yeah, and I do think this is gonna basically be a knowledge test for Point Park, as Mundo is basically just a knowledge check character. You either know how to play against him or you don't. And we'll see. Point Park should be able to shut him down. I think they're all very talented players. I don't think they're the type to get absolutely bodied by a Mundo like you would see in typical bronze matches.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like I was saying, that it may be a bit of toxicity between the two schools. If Point Park does fail this knowledge test,
it's gonna feel really bad.
That'll be a big ego boost for Virginia Wesleyan, even after this win. A huge ego boost.
But yeah, Mundo into Olaf. I don't think I've ever seen this matchup, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone play Olaf outside of an ARAM or an Earth match. So I have no clue what he can really do. Actually, correction, I've seen him once, and it wasn't in top lane. It was in jungle. So not even the same role.
Yeah, I've definitely never seen anybody on the Point Park team play him. This is a completely new character to me, and I mean, he could be anything. He could do anything. I don't know.
So his whole thing basically is that he just runs you down. In his ult, he becomes immune to slows, and he literally just chases you and with his axes. It's really funny, honestly. Also, fun lore fact about Olaf, he can't die. He was prophesized to die peacefully in bed, but his whole thing is that he wants a warrior's death. So he just fights non-stop, and because of the prophecy, he can't die that way.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of goofy lore, especially considering he's the second Freljord character who just can't die. Basically just too angry to die.
I mean, I get it. I've been there.
Along with Tryndamere, they're both just Viking men who refuse to die.
I mean, I relate. That's kind of how I am. I refuse to die. I'm too angry to die. That's the only reason I'm still here. I'm too mad.
I mean, you're also, like, 19, so...
I'm here out of pure spite. That's what keeps me going.
But yeah, I believe we are going to be getting into this game here. Looks like they're both just going for the default opening. No invades. Don't think either team wants to risk giving an early lead. But yeah, should be interesting. I'm really curious about this Olaf pick. Also, worth noting, Poppy forgot to buy potions.
Oh, that's rough.
Probably not going to make a big deal, but just something funny to point out. nothing major to talk about right now as we're just waiting for the game to kick off here.
Yeah, it's always just a bit of waiting around at the beginning unless they're going for an invade or something along those lines. And it doesn't seem like either team is really... It doesn't seem like either team has much of a start game strategy going on yet.
Yeah, since they aren't going for any invades, there's really nothing to do. Also, I do like the theming. Virginia got a very fiery bot lane as they have Smolder, a fire dragon, and Desire running a fire skin. But, yeah.
I mean, that maybe that's what they're going for. They're trying to make it look pretty, and that'll distract Point Park.
But yeah, this is going to be rough in bot lane if Point Park plays it well. This is going to be really rough as Smolder has so little early game presence until he gets a lot of stacks. As that's his whole thing. He scales off his stacks as well as items. So he's so weak early to compensate for that.
Yeah, and we've seen some pretty interesting plays with Smolder, not from Point Park's side, but from enemy team side.
Yeah, I believe it was 2 weeks ago now. They played against the Smolder, who was actually just cracked at the character. I believe they went like 11-0. It was insane.
Insane. And choosing Smolder to be cracked at, that's an interesting choice. I mean, who likes that tiny little dragon?
Smolder has been out of the meta for so long. Also, Smolder makes me sad as his original concept art was to be the Elder Dragon's child. And instead we just got a random dragon.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a dog. Dragons don't look like that.
But yeah, LeBron playing aggressive, just shoving waves. Mundo not taking the fight. I think he might be scared of Olaf because Olaf does do a lot of damage.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, mid lane, pretty even. Bot lane, bot and top lane, Point Park has slight leads, but it's way too early to actually call anything.
Yeah, right now it is just either team sort of trading blows as usual, same as last game.
Yeah, just playing for poke, playing to farm, maybe waiting for jungle clear to actually go for a gank. But yeah, there's nothing major. Vi is hovering bot lane, but nothing actually happening here. Poppy is also there. I think they spot the Vi. Gavin is getting dove on though. Oh, and they both flash, but Gavin barely gets caught, not able to flash quite in time.
That's rough. First blood for Virginia Wesleyan.
Is unfortunate, but yeah, just unfortunate that he burned flash and still died.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We are still quite early, so it may have just been a random early mess up. It probably won't affect the game too much.
Yeah, he is also electing to just walk back to lane instead of teleporting, which I think is a smart play. Gives him a lot of lane pressure early. Poppy is in a bit of a rough spot here, taking a lot of damage, has to flash out. That is going to be flash down for both jungler and the mid laner, which is pretty big. Sets up so much gank potential for Point Park. Especially once Vi hits level 6, she can just press R on Orianna. Oh, and Mundo flashes. Might still die here. LeBron just running it down. Tower dives. Oh, barely not able to get the kill.
Not quite. It is a bit of deja vu from the last game with that tower dive and that fail.
Yeah, this Dramsey guy is so good at living on a sliver of HP. If LeBron was one level higher, that was a free kill.
They call him the liver.
Damn, you're stealing my jokes. But unfortunately, LeBron doesn't have teleport, so he does kind of have to stay in lane. He picked a Ghost Flash, which makes sense for Olaf since he's just such a run-it-down character. He did burn his Ghost there, but worthwhile trade. Traded Ghost for Flash and teleport.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, and Olaf is... Oh, looks like we have actually paused the game for just a second.
Yeah, we are going to be having a brief tech pause as we wait for them to sort out some issues. But yeah, interesting start. Only one pick so far. But Point Park has taken out so many summoner spells that they should be in a great position to get their own picks when we get back in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, early game. It's hard to tell which team might end up cinching that win, but Point Park is going pretty strong so far. I mean, we aren't seeing much of a change with our substitutes, but we may be seeing more as the game goes on.
Yeah, just unfortunate first blood, but like I said, top lane doesn't have flash. Neither does jungler, neither does mid laner. That should be some 3 kills the second Vi hits level 6. Now, bit of a fight here in bottom as we are getting back into the game, but having some more technical difficulties with a freeze. Hopefully we don't miss anything major.
Fingers crossed. It's always hard to tell, especially when you're streaming League of Legends. Those tick issues, they are abundant.
Notice how this only happens with League of Legends. Shout out to my favorite small indie company, Riot Games. And of course, the second we switch away, it fixes itself.
Outstanding.
But we are going to be getting back into it here. It was a bit of a fight bot lane. Nothing really came of it. But looks like they might be going for something here. They have to be careful because Poppy is right here, but so is Vi. They might be trying to take a fight to Dragon.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good for either team, Dragon. But it's hard to tell. They're kind of grouping up, but they're not quite on their way yet.
It does look like they are electing to just back off. LeBron leaving lane to put a ward on Void Grubs. He is ahead by a good bit of CS, not enough to make a huge difference. But I think we've got to point out mid lane, a big lead already. Not like a huge lead, but a pretty sizable one in favor of Orianna, as she has about 15 more CS and a kill. Point Park is just ripping the Dragon, though. They should be able to take it uncontested, and they should have time to go take Void Grubs as well, or at the very least contest it.
Yeah, first Dragon, that's pretty good. And I mean, if they get Void Grubs, then they'd be about in the same position that Virginia Wesleyan was in the first game. So maybe we're having a switched up game.
It does look like Poppy might be going for Void Grubs. She's currently taking the Scuttle Crab, I believe. But Point Park does have a ward there. They will know the second this happens. And we see both Spooky and Kikid rotating up. It seems like they might have taken too long. I honestly think they should have just gone for the Void Grubs.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you play it too safe, and by playing it too safe, you lose out on some pretty good opportunities.
Yeah, they definitely had time there to take at least one of the grubs, but they've waited, and now Point Park has rotated over and can take the fight. Although Highway in a rough spot in bot lane as he's in a 2v1. But yeah, big fight coming out here, and it should be a free pick onto the Poppy. That's huge. Should be Void Grubs for free for Point Park, although unfortunately Virginia did take one of them. So that isn't going to count for feats, and it makes it impossible for Point Park to get all 6, but they got 2 out of 3. Solid trade.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I mean, now the kills are even, so we are sort of evening it up.
Yeah,
Point Park's even ahead.
They're up Dragon, equal in gold pretty much. And Highway able to stay safe, nothing actually happening while he was alone in lane, thankfully. Although Smolder is going to be scaling. Smolder getting too many stacks here, it seems like.
Yeah, Smolder might be going a little bit, might be getting a bit too powerful as this game goes on. We are still pretty early game, but Smolder is a later game character, and once we get into that late game,
he might be a problem.
Yeah.
Also, we do see Olaf, one of those split-pushing characters. Notice how Mundo backed one time, didn't have teleport, half his tower is gone. That's why people hate these split-pushing characters like Trundle and Tryndamere, because you make one mistake and suddenly you lose half your tower.
That is rough, and I mean, it's a good pick. It's rough to play against characters like that.
Yeah, with Gavin is getting out-pressured in mid lane, down a good deal of CS, just off to a rough start for him, but the rest of the lanes are either equal or in Point Park's favor. Just down mid lane. We do see they are dead even in gold right now.
Ooh, yeah, it looks like, especially, at least with gold, it could be anybody's play, but Point Park is still ahead in both Dragon and Void Grub, so...
Also worth noting, a Point Park Kakid does have ult now. Now, that is one of the best ults in the game for just deleting a squishy character. If he comes ganks bot lane and catches out either Zyra or the Smolder, they are dead instantly.
That would be pretty rough. And, I mean, as for levels, we are...
Oh, Kakid sitting in the bush, hiding. They're trying to bait the team into making an aggressive play. And they get it. Oh, they get the flash. And they get both flashes, actually. But Poppy is here. They might be able to turn this. Oh, and it is rough. So many things coming out from both sides. Highway going for a really strange play. And that was rough for Point Park, giving up all three.
Incredibly rough. I mean, they went for something and it just did not work out. And it was really, that Smolder got him down.
I think it was just too aggressive a play to make when you don't have vision on Poppy.
Yeah, and it looks like now Virginia Wesleyan is going for the tower while they have that extra time. And
yeah, able to take almost all the tower plating off of that too.
Yeah.
Although, if we look, Gavin doing a pretty good job of getting a lot of damage in mid, but does have to flash to dodge the Orianna ult, which is unfortunate. Oh my god, and Gale gets rooted out of that last second, but they might be able to get a double kill here if they can keep this up, just waiting for cooldowns from this, the Khan, and they are able to get a double kill in bot lane. That is exactly what they needed. They get a shutdown, 2 kills for Highway, getting him back in the game, making up that last fight.
That is pretty good. I mean, they saw that they were taking that tower and they got rid of them. That is exactly what Point Park has to keep doing. I mean, if they want to win this game, they've got to keep an eye on what's happening.
Yeah, and also worth noting, both Dragon and Void Grubs are spawning right now. If Point Park can take Grubs, I think that would be so much more valuable for them, as they don't need Dragon. They already have one. If they take Grubs, it gives Olaf so much map pressure because he can delete towers.
Ooh, that would be pretty interesting, and we are saying Olaf is a pretty interesting pick. It could be a unique way for Point Park to cinch that win.
Yeah, also, it does look like this is exactly what's happening, as Virginia does just take the Dragon, Kakid taking the Grubs. Orianna's there. They do know they're on Grubs. The question is, are they able to do anything about it? It doesn't look like they're going to, just playing safe, not willing to risk it, which they're going to give up Grubs. This does mean the next objective is going to give Point Park that feat if they are able to get it, as they got all 3 Void Grubs.
Oh, that would be pretty good. That would be a pretty good push for Point Park.
Yeah, and if Olaf keeps playing like this, he should be able to take first tower, especially with those extra Void Grubs. If Mundo backs, I think Olaf deletes the tower.
Yeah, and Olaf could always be. We haven't seen him played before. He could definitely be a make or break character. It really depends on how he's played this game.
Yeah, I think they're going to play him just split pushing, which, if played well, gives them so much map pressure. We'll have to see what they can do with it. Now, it does look like we see a lane swap here, which makes sense as we're getting out of the laning phase around the 14-minute mark, as Gavin swapping into bot lane, as Highway and Spooky rotate into mid, maybe trying to take a tower here. But Gavin in a 2v1 and is winning right now. Both members are getting so much damage.
Ooh, that is pretty rough for Virginia Wesleyan. I mean, if their two teammates are down by 2v1, then that's not a great start to the game.
It looks like Zyra might be pushing up, but Orianna dashes in, maybe? I don't even know what she used. I think it was a blast cone, and she doesn't have a dash, but that makes sense. Gavin maybe looking for a tower dive here. He has ultimate. The question is, does it kill Smolder at this percent? Oh, but he needs to back up, or he is going to die. There are 4 members right next to him.
Yeah.
This is a terrifying spot to be in, but looks like he's not getting dove, able to just keep farming.
I mean, yeah, that was a pretty risky position anyways. Although it did seem like the 4 members that were surrounding Smolder did back away just a bit. They weren't quite aware of what was going on there.
Yeah, and if you look, top lane has gotten evened up here, although LeBron should still have a gold lead just because he has about double the tower plating. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. We see Vi finishing her first item, which big power spike for her. I know that Trinity Force super strong on Vi, and looks like he's just trying to take this turret here. Oh, and weaves in the axe throw, just pressuring Mundo, although Mundo just heals so much.
Oof, yeah, it doesn't seem like Point Park is quite winning that battle of knowledge going on.
I mean, they haven't lost it, so I think it's fine. Oh, but Gavin is getting hard dove here. Both ult comes out. Orianna has ult, Gavin doesn't, but Orianna is one shot. It's basically whoever hits their next ability. Oh, the flash comes out, Gavin dodges it, and he gets the kill with the shutdown. Well played by Gavin. Oh, but he's gonna get jumped by Poppy, and Poppy gets the shutdown of her own.
Ooh, that was an immediate revenge kill. That was rough.
But good solo kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I mean...
And I think Gavin did need that shutdown, as he was behind in CS. He's been catching up, though. He's ahead of kills now. Oh, but Red Team is able to get first turret off of that, which is unfortunate.
That is rough, and I mean, like I've been saying, that turret can affect not just the game, but morale.
That is going to be feats of strength for Virginia. Unfortunately, if they could have just defended that turret a second longer, Point Park could have got it, as they got the Rift Herald for the third objective, and this top turret is so weak. But unfortunate, still, they are in a pretty solid spot. Both mid and top towers, super weak.
Yeah, they could definitely try pushing either of them, really. And it might go well, even though it's pretty early game. But
yeah, and Point Park does have the Rift Herald. They could use that, try and take it, force a big fight. The question is, what are they going to do with the Herald?
Yeah, and is it worth it yet, or should they wait? I mean, the Rift Herald can definitely be a big help late game.
Bit of a misplay by LeBron, accidentally auto-attacks the Mundo, so he takes tower aggro, but able to flash out. And a nice pick from Point Park, locking down the Zyra. And they just run down Smolder, get Smolder's flash. Unfortunately, they aren't able to quite finish it, but they got Smolder's flash, which is huge. And they still do have Rift Herald, popping Rift Herald to take this mid turret. This should be a 3-dragon for them, I believe so, as they have to respect the Rift Herald. Oh no, it looks like they aren't quite yet taking dragon. Looks like they were trying to set a trap, but get spotted by the blue ward.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't see the best use of Rift Herald there.
I mean, I think it works. They did get the turret, and it looks like they are going to be able to take a dragon off of it. So I think it works out just fine, although they could have done slightly more with it. But they do get their second dragon. They have done such a good job of securing objectives here. All they've given up is one Void Grub and one Drake.
Yeah, it seems like Virginia Wesleyan is in a bit of a tough spot. They've got to make a bit of a comeback at this point, but that was exactly how it was in the previous game.
I think all they really need to do is just play around these objectives better. They can't keep letting these objectives slip through.
Yeah, I mean, Point Park just keeps getting these objectives, and it's throwing Virginia Wesleyan off their trail.
It also is going to be Chemtech Soul, which is a decent soul. It's not quite as overpowered as it used to be, but still not something you want to just give up.
Yeah, I mean, you never really want to give anything up if you can get it. That's usually the best play.
Yeah, but there's all... In comparison to, like, Cloud Soul, you can afford to give that one up. It's so weak compared to the other ones.
It looks like, I mean, they might be getting this tower.
One more hit takes the tower, but he doesn't want to take a tower shot, just respecting the Mundo.
Yeah, that would have been funny if a minion got it, though.
Yeah, but definitely a smart choice. Putting respect on Mundo. Mundo, especially with his ultimate, if you dive him, he can heal so much when he pops his ult. It's actually absurd.
Yeah, Yeah, it wouldn't be the best. Oh,
And that's going to be a pick onto Gavin. Just caught in a rough spot by the Orianna ultimate, with Poppy coming right around the corner. Unfortunate, Gavin just kind of struggling here, as it seems like he's just getting so much pressure applied to him by this Orianna.
Yeah, and it really seems like Virginia Wesleyan is struggling just a little bit as well.
Yeah, both teams have some really strong areas, but also some pretty rough spots. Also, Highway is doing so much damage now. If he can just get into a fight, he does a lot of damage, especially if he has Vi right around the corner. Also, Tracer did secure that turret in top lane. We weren't on it, so I kind of missed it, but that is going to be another turret for Point Park.
Yeah, that Nundo was not respected for very long.
Yeah, and they're still so even. Mundo, though, buying looks to be Thornmail now, which that's unfortunate for, I believe. Actually, no, wait. I'm not quite sure why he's buying it. I guess because Olaf is an auto attacker, it works. Although I typically buy it for the anti-heal instead. And he does have that Heartsteel going, but only 20 stacks so far. Heartsteel, just don't let him get an absurd amount of stacks and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like Keat is a little bit under-leveled at 11, whereas the others are more into their teens.
Yeah, it's just a bit behind. It shouldn't be anything he can't make up. He just has to play a bit smarter. You can't necessarily do what you want to do on Vi, where you just run into their entire team and press R. But if you get like 2 of them, go ahead. But yeah, just farming, trying to get that XP back. Still a very close game. This one's anyone's game. Only 11 kills total here.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, we haven't seen very much aggression going on, very many big battles.
Also, I believe that's going to be Voracious Atacon instead of the Ruinous one this time, as there hasn't been that many fights, which means that is the stronger of the two, the one that gives you the revive. So I think Atacon is something that's going to be prioritized a lot more than it was last game, where they left it alive until like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, that Atacon, it didn't really make or break anything, but this time
it's definitely one that could change the game. And it looks like they have flip-flopped again, both mid laners going top lane to allow the top laners to come down into the bot lane so they can be there if an Atacon fight does break out.
Probably some pretty good positioning. I mean, that Atacon could definitely make or break the game, especially with the abilities it gives.
Yeah, it just lets you play so aggressively without any punishment. But yeah, just still pretty much a stalemate of a game. Neither team going for anything crazy. Also, this has been such a slow top laner. Oh, but this is rough. Kakid gets caught out in an insane position. Zyra comes out of nowhere trying to get a... Or not Zyra, Orianna. But not able to get at them. Spooky able to barely dodge out.
Looks like still nobody is... Oh, they're actually going for the dragon.
They are, yeah, it does look like they're going to take a free dragon here, as Kakid isn't alive to contest it. Which, probably smart, just not worth risking more deaths for this dragon, especially when you already have the dragon lead. But yeah, just unfortunate they got caught out by Zyra's ultimate.
Yeah, and with that dragon, I mean, now they've kind of tied it in dragons. If they continue to tie it, then Point Park may be in trouble. Point Park still has way more Void Grubs, though.
Yeah, Void Grub's not something that you can make up for if you don't get them at the start. But Mundo is doing such a good job of matching LeBron's split push, not letting him get value from the grubs that he'd like.
Yeah, that is honestly a pretty good call for Mundo. We've seen Mundo play pretty well this game, especially for what we were assuming was a troll pick.
Honestly, though, this has been like the most boring top lane matchup I think I might have ever seen, as neither of them is doing anything. They are both 0, 0, and 0.
Yeah, that is insane, honestly.
Oh my god, wait, Point Park is just ripping Atacon, though. They saw Poppy back. Gavin is going to get solo killed in top lane, though. He does do a lot of damage, but not quite able to win the fight. But this should just be a free Atacon for Point Park.
That would be pretty nice, especially because this is the better Atacon that would actually help them.
Yeah, that's going to be Voracious Atacon for free. I would think LeBron is going to just run someone down now. He has it all. He has Atacon. But that is going to be top turret going down to this Orianna. Gavin just having a rough game. He's still down in gold quite a bit. But he does still do good damage thanks to being just a strong character like Syndra.
Yeah, and I mean, turrets are tied up now. Dragons are tied up now.
It's just such a close game. Kills are in favor of Virginia, but objectives in favor of Point Park. Virginia is just doing a great job of mitigating the advantages that Point Park has.
Yeah, it really seems like Virginia is playing against that switch out that we've had. Maybe they caught on, maybe they know that the idea is a bit switched, but either way, they are holding their own.
Also, there just haven't been that many big team fights yet. We have seen just nothing happening for so long. It seems like everyone's just playing the laning phase even longer. But game freezes yet again on our end. Big shout out to Riot Games and
Absolutely.
Point Park Internet.
Insane work, honestly. Maybe it's Virginia Wesleyan's internet. Who knows?
I mean, I have no idea, but we are back into it. Baron is going to be up here, but it seems too early to actually go for it. Looks like a fight might be happening mid lane. No, they're just exchanging some abilities, trying to clear vision. Point Park needs to make a play, though. They have that Atacon buff. And it looks like LeBron is just doing that, running under tower to take the turret, forcing Mundo to run.
That's unfortunate.
And he just takes the turret in his face and is 1v1ing Mundo in his ultimate. Like, LeBron is not scared of anything right now.
Yeah, Mundo tried to stop that and was just absolutely destroyed. That is rough for Mundo.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't die or anything, but just nothing, no value there. Poppy ults Corki, but that was kind of a terrible ult as it pushes Corki into Orianna, and Orianna should be dead here. There should be no way she escapes from the Vi. She does, oh my god, she dodges every ability.
Oh my, look at, she's running from 3 people and she's still alive. Oh, ooh.
And she just leads them on a massive wild goose chase for so long.
That was interesting.
I've got to admit, those jukes were impressive. She should not have survived for that long. Kind of embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, 3 people after 1. Ooh.
But worth noting, that is another shutdown for Corki. Corki is getting pretty strong, already close to finishing his 3rd item. However, Smolder also has finished his 3rd item. Smolder just playing so annoyingly safe. Just farming.
Yeah, and I mean, Smolder is the one that we've got to watch out for in that later game.
Yeah, especially once he hits 225 stacks, that is when he becomes a menace, because he basically gets a mini version of the Elder Dragon buff, where he can execute people.
That would be terrifying. That's why I don't like that little red dragon. And we've glitched again.
But yeah, just on the topic of Smolder, he just, that 225 stack breakpoint is so problematic if it gets hit.
Yeah, I mean, Smolder is, it's a rough character, because especially in the early game, like you were saying, not very good, but later game, it's a pretty rough character to go against, and it's a bit embarrassing to die to something that small.
But just unfortunate that they can't end games that early. Smolder is, the counterplay to Smolder is to just end the game before he can scale. But against a team this coordinated, you can't really do that easily.
Yeah, the counterplay to Smolder is just to not have him in the game at all.
Honestly, I think the best way to deal with Smolder is to pick your own hyper carry. But it does look like we're having some major issues here. Hopefully getting things back up. We have lost stream for a moment. Just hopefully we're not missing anything major. If we come back and Baron has been taken, I will be so sad.
Come back and the entire game is just over.
But yeah, Smolder just annoyingly strong late game for how stupid a character he is.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even a good design. Come on.
But we do seem to have not missed much. Seems like there was a bit of a skirmish with both teams just resetting. Looks like Point Park electing to give up Drake, not really wanting to risk it. Maybe going for a bit of a steal here by hovering it. But I think it's smarter to just back off, give up Drake.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Point Park doesn't really need it. Neither does Virginia
They
Wesleyan.
need to contest this next Drake. That's the important one.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like either team is really going to go for anything at this point.
Both teams are playing so careful. There have been so few kills in this game compared to the last one. But that's not what you want when against the Smolder. If you want killing Smolder, Smolder is winning the game. Because he's just going to sit back, farm. Every time he's not dead, he's farming. And he's getting more stacks. And that goes on infinitely.
Yeah, and we are still seeing that neither of our top laners have anything at all.
Somehow Mundo, 30 minutes in, only 70 Heartsteel stacks. Which is actually insane considering it was first item. In a typical game, you'd expect him to have closer to like 300-400 by now.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's a lot of zeros.
It is just insane how low action top lane has been. Also, something funny is they both have bounties because neither of them have died. Despite the fact neither of them have killed either.
Huh. I mean, I don't know if they're playing safe or if these characters that they chose are just weirdly good against each other. But
I think it's just that Olaf can't do much into Mundo, as Mundo's just too tanky for him to kill. If it was against like any squishier character, I think Tracer just runs him down.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Olaf wasn't a very good pick against Mundo.
Then again, Mundo was picked after.
Oh, that's
so
true.
what? Oh my God! Wait, Point Park is just ripping the Baron. Virginia spots it, is moving to contest. I don't know where Poppy is though. Oh, Poppy is here. Looks like it's going to be a 4v4 for Baron. This is risky. And a freeze at the worst possible moment. I apologize to all of our viewers. This is just unfortunate.
This is unprecedented. I mean, take your guess which team's gonna get Baron.
Why do we have to miss the most intense moments?
The one time we get a full team battle, there's a freeze.
Absolutely tragic.
I mean, yeah, go Point Park, get that Baron. Maybe they got it. Maybe they didn't.
We're gonna come back and game's gonna be over.
Somebody's gotten the Baron at this point.
Either someone's gotten the Baron or everyone is dead. There's no in between.
Dead. Yeah, something's happened, and I mean, it's tough to tell. We can't even really see our teammates or anything. Oh, there we go. Now we can.
Normally we have the game up on the TV behind them. If we had that, we could see a sliver of the game. Maybe at least know what's going on. Just unfortunate. This is absolutely tragic. This doesn't normally happen.
It is impossible to tell what's happening with their facial expressions. Look at that. Complete poker faces. What the heck?
I want to know what's happening.
Just blank.
On the edge of my seat.
Nobody making any expressions at all.
Okay, looks like we did have a paused game during that, but still do not know what has happened.
Still not sure what's happening. I mean, we've got some pretty worried expressions. Maybe pondering. Maybe they're pondering what's happening.
And it looks like neither team got Baron.
Oh.
I Did
What?
both teams just back off? If you look, Point Park used basically every single summoner spell. This is just deeply confusing. I'm gonna be so for real. Yeah. Okay, so we did have a pause, thankfully, so we didn't miss the Baron fight. Shout out to the players for pausing for us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why they were looking so confused. They were pondering the pause. Ponder pause.
Oh, apparently both teams actually had observer issues according to the chat.
Oh.
So at least we're not the only ones.
Yeah, it's not Point Park's fault.
I think that means it's on Riot.
It's Riot's fault. It's always Riot's fault.
Oh my god. And it freezes immediately. Shout out to the small indie company. Apparently it was agreed with the 3 skins.
You know what? If Red Bull owned League of Legends, this wouldn't be happening. Red Bull gives you wings.
It's the players agreed. They wanted 3 skins and Riot can't afford that.
Right.
Ignore the billion-dollar profit margins.
It's a punishment. They're punishing us.
But yeah, just nothing happened. Both teams seem to have backed off Baron. Probably a smart play. Oh, but Zyra gets caught out in the jungle.
Ooh.
Somehow still alive, but they should be able to get her down. She lived for an ungodly amount of time. Bye, runs in. Looks like Olaf is finally doing something. Kakita gets taken out. Oh, Orianna with a really nice stasis flash play. Oh, but Smolder has hit the 225 mark. You can tell by the mark on Tracer's health bar, which means Smolder is officially a menace.
And Smolder still hasn't gotten a kill. No, wait, has he?
He has at the start, but
he's gotten kills.
that was his first kill in like 15 minutes. This is a bad spot to be in. Smolder is really strong now.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we did in 1.
He's at 75% crit rate, has the execute threshold. Smolder is a problem, and that is going to be so in the favor of Virginia. I think Point Park needs to start banning Smolder, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, both because he's just a hard character to go against, and because he's an annoying little dragon and nobody likes him.
I think what's been shown is that these infinite scaling characters are too good in these formats because these games are going on so long.
Yeah.
I think if either you ban the infinite scalers or you pick one, no in between.
Yeah, and I mean, we just saw Smolder took down that tower in like 3 hits.
And Smolder just melted the team during that team fight. Like, I think maybe what they should do is start playing Aurelion Sol, my favorite character and the best infinite scaler in the game. I think that would... I say that as a joke, but I think it would genuinely be a good pick, as Aurelion Sol can match Smolder late game.
Yeah, I mean, right now Smolder is living up to his name. He is smoldering the opposition.
Or, this might be a crazy idea. Put LeBron, put Tracer on Gnosis, the top lane infinite scaler. That would be really risky because he's so weak early game. But I think LeBron has so much experience on hyper carries as he plays so much Kayle. And she is the typical top lane hyper carry. I think he would be so good on that character if they played him. Let LeBron play Gnosis or Kayle. Just one of those top lane hyper carries. Also, here we see Mundo going where Mundo pleases. But they might be able to lock him down. No, he flashes out. They're still chasing. But look at the healing. He has Chemtech Soul and ult.
Everyone's going against... Everyone had to go against Mundo to take him.
It takes 4 players. They do dodge every ability from Smolder there. But that's what I was talking about. Mundo's healing is insane. He has Spirit Vision, which boosts his heal. He has his passive, which heals him. He has his ult, which heals him. He has Chemtech Soul, which heals him. And nobody on Point Park has anti-heal.
That is rough. I mean, we were saying Mundo is an intelligence check, and...
I think they just need some anti-heal. I think Corki should have gone for, I don't know the name, the green bow and arrow instead of the Lord Dominic's, as they're very similar, but one has anti-heal. I think that would have been a smarter pick. Spooky, the only person with anti-heal, does get bursted down. Despite being their support, just not that tanky compared in the face of this Smolder.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really tanky in the face of late game Smolder. Look at him.
Yeah, and Point Park just doesn't have a super tanky character like Mundo. They're tankiest people are Vi and the Khan, and this is going to be Baron. They can't really contest it. This might be game here. Just unfortunate. It seems like Point Park really struggles with these hyper scaling, with these hyper carries. Not even infinite scalers like Smolder. We've seen it with characters like Jinx, characters like Vayne, just late game hyper carries.
Yeah, it seems like Point Park, they do good early game, but late game, they kind of fall off.
I don't think even the issue is them falling off. I think the issue is they don't pick characters who can match the super late game ones. I think they desperately need a character who can match Smolder in strength late game. Because nothing here matches up to that raw damage.
Yeah, it does seem like they really want to choose very risky characters like the Smolder pick, and it does not work out in their favor.
Like, that is fair though. It is such a risky play to pick an infinite scaler because you always run the risk of just getting bullied for like the first 15 minutes, and then you aren't relevant until like 40 minutes into the game. But considering all these games tend to go on so long, I genuinely believe they should start picking infinite scalers.
Yeah, you've got to have a lot of confidence in yourself for those infinite scalar picks. And I mean, Point Park doesn't seem like they have that confidence sometimes, even though they are a good team.
We know the players are good enough, but this is something that we've talked about. It feels like they get almost stage fright sometimes. But I genuinely believe people like Highway are so mechanically skilled that they could basically play what they want as long as they have confidence.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to go for it, and sometimes they stay back too long. It can be rough, and it never ends up in their favor. And
yeah, but again, like such a close game for most of it, but Virginia just pulling away, and I genuinely think just because Smolder has been allowed to sit back and farm for too long, because there's nothing they can do to contest him right now. The only real chance they have is if Vi can ult them. But we do see LeBron trying to split push Point Park back into the game. Oh my god, but so much damage from that Orianna just deletes Gavin. This is a really bad spot to be in. This is going to be a free inhibitor. They aren't electing to try and keep going. Maybe going for mid inhibitor instead, actually.
Ooh, this is real rough for Point Park. This might be game.
Oh, and he ults onto the Smolder, but Smolder has the, what is it called? Zonya's Hourglass. Vi does resurrect with the Guardian Angel, only to get taken out yet again by Smolder, dying to Smolder twice in one fight. And LeBron is here, but it's too late, and it is LeBron and Highway left. This should be game. I don't see a world where they can win this.
Yeah. They are just pushing forward, and we are seeing the effects of that Smolder farming with 8 kills.
Yeah, Smolder just allowed too much to farm, and that is going to be an ace for Virginia. That is going to be game. Unfortunate. Point Park just... Oh, wait. Gavin coming in, able to take out 2, maybe? Takes out... Oh, but Smolder has Guardian Angel, actually, so he doesn't even go down.
Smolder is immortal.
Just unfortunate. Point Park really struggling with these infinite scalers. It was such a close game for so long, but they couldn't match the Smolder in the end.
Yeah, it's that immortal little rat. I hate him. I do not like that character. I do not like that character.
I genuinely think Point Park just needs to work on matching these late game carries, because this is a consistent problem for them.
Yeah, I mean, we see it over and over again. It just doesn't work out well for them. They play it too safe at the beginning, and then
they allow them to run away with the game. It's just unfortunate. But that is going to be the match. Virginia Wesleyan winning 2-0. Unfortunate for Point Park. They seemed evenly matched in terms of skill, but just not quite able to finish it.
Yeah.
As Virginia they played better today.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a lot of that confidence we were talking about. Point Park just doesn't have that confidence, and losses like these it just doesn't help that confidence at all.
Yeah, I think they just need to work on matching those carries, because even in the first game, they were doing such a good job when they had their own infinite scaler. It's kind of crazy how much value is being put on them in these games.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the whole balancing thing. It's hard to balance in a game like this, and a lot of times the characters just aren't balanced unless you have good picks.
Like there, we just see Smolder so absurdly strong late. But yeah, that is going to be it for this game. Congratulations to Virginia. That is going to be their first win of the season, I believe.
Ooh.
And we are going to be back tomorrow for Valorant at the same time. And then again next week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with Rocket League, Rocket League, League of Legends, and Valorant in that order. Make sure to tune in next week and follow us on both Instagram, at Point Park Esports, and on Twitter and
And
TikTok.
Facebook and TikTok. All of them. Follow us on all of them.
But that's going to be it for us. Signing off.
And join Point Park. Bye.